Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I work security at a small office building that only operates during the day. My shift runs from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and most nights are uneventful. Just me, my coffee, and the occasional creak of the heating system settling into the night. I always told myself that this job was easy money. 8 hours of sitting in a booth, staring at screens, walking the halls now and then to make sure no one had broken in. But after what happened that night, I know now I was never alone. It was around 2 a.m. when I saw him. At first, it was just a flicker on the screen, movement on the third floor. That was weird because the third floor had been completely empty for months. No tenants, no cleaning crew, no reason for anyone to be there. I leaned in closer to the monitor, adjusting the grainy security footage, and that's when I saw him. A man in a dark suit, standing near the water dispenser in the hallway. He wasn't doing anything, just standing. His head was slightly tilted, and though the footage wasn't clear, I could tell he was looking at the camera, looking directly at me. A cold wave crawled over my skin. It wasn't possible. I had checked the doors when my shift started. No alarms had gone off. No one had come in, but he was there. I reached for the radio on my belt and called out, anyone there? Sir, this is private property. No response. The man didn't move, didn't even blink. I switched to a different camera angle. He was still there, staring. His face, it wasn't clear. The fuzziness of the footage distorted it, but the longer I stared, the stranger it looked. Like his features didn't sit right. I don't know why, but I grabbed my flashlight and got up. My boots felt too loud against the empty hallways as I made my way to the stairwell. The third floor was pitch black, the overhead motion lights only flickering on when I stepped in the hallway. The water dispenser stood at the end of the corridor, humming softly. The man wasn't there. I walked slowly, my breath tight in my throat. I checked every office, every corner. Nothing. No signs that anyone had been there. The air felt too still, too thick. Then my radio crackled. Static at first. Then a voice. A whisper. You shouldn't have come up here. My whole body went cold. I spun around, my flashlight trembling in my grip. Who's there? Silence. I nearly dropped my light. The hallway stretched empty before me. I backed away, every instinct screaming for me to leave. The radio remained silent. I turned and walked fast, too fast, back to the security room, forcing myself not to run. I locked the door behind me, my heart slamming against my ribs. My hands shook as I replayed the security footage. The man was still there, exactly where he had been before, except now, his head was tilted at an even sharper angle, unnatural, like his neck was broken. His lips moved, no sound, but he was speaking, whispering something. I watched, frozen, as the footage flickered. Then movement. Not from the man, from behind me. The monitor reflected my own image, and the shadow standing directly behind my chair. I turned. Nothing there. I quit the next day. I don't know who he was. I don't know what he was. But I know one thing for sure. He's still in that building. Story 2. I used to work the night shift at a gas station off a long stretch of highway that barely saw any life after dark. It was one of those lonely roads where your headlights are the only thing cutting through the blackness, where the radio crackles with static, and where if you break down, you pray someone, anyone, will drive by before sunrise. The station itself was nothing special. A flickering neon sign that buzzed like a dying insect, two rusty pumps that sometimes shut off mid-fill, and a convenience store that smelled like stale coffee and motor oil. We had a few regulars, mostly truckers and drunks looking for cheap beer, but past midnight, it was a graveyard. I worked alone. That night it was quiet, too quiet. Even the bugs outside had stopped making noise. I was sitting behind the counter, scrolling mindlessly on my phone, trying to keep myself awake when the automatic doors slid open. A cold gust of air rushed in, and then he walked through. At first, I thought maybe he was just some junkie from the city, thin, pale, moving slow. But when he stepped into the light, I felt something shift in the room, like the air got heavier. He was barefoot, no socks, no shoes, just bare feet covered in dirt and dry blood. He wore nothing but a hospital gown, thin, faded, the kind that ties in the back. His skin was almost gray, stretched too tight over his bones, and his eyes were sunken, two dark pits staring right through me. And then he spoke. "Have you seen my car?" His voice was dry, a whisper that scraped against his throat like rusted metal. I hesitated. "Sir, are you okay?" He just blinked. "Have you seen my car?" I started to feel wrong, like I was standing too close to something I wasn't supposed to see. Do you need help?" I asked. "I can call someone." "Have you seen my car?" Same words, same tone, no change in expression. I took a step back, reaching under the counter for my phone. That's when I noticed his gown wasn't clean. The front of it was soaked, dark with something that wasn't just sweat. My stomach clenched. He was shivering, but not from cold. It was more like his body wasn't used to being in one piece anymore, like he was barely holding himself together. Something in my gut screamed, "Don't look away from him." But I had to call the police. I grabbed my phone, fingers fumbling over the screen, looked down for maybe half a second. When I looked up, he was gone, not walking away, not running, just gone. The automatic doors hadn't opened. The sensors never even beeped. The store was completely empty. I felt this wave of nausea, like my stomach had dropped through the floor. I stepped out from behind the counter, scanning the aisles, my pulse hammering against my ribs. Nothing. I turned to the cameras, pulled up the footage, and then I stopped breathing, because on the screen, I saw myself, standing alone, talking to nothing. My mouth moved. My hands fidgeted. I even backed away like I remembered, but there was no one there. I felt something cold trail down my spine. I rewound the footage, watched again, still nothing. I fast-forwarded to the moment I had looked away. The second I turned back, the feed glitched, just for a second. A static blur. Then it was normal again. My hands were shaking. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at the screen, feeling something crawl under my skin. Eventually, I forced myself to sit back down. I told myself I was tired, hallucinating, something rational. But when my shift ended and the sun started creeping up over the hills, my manager walked in. I told him everything. He went pale. Then, without saying a word, he pulled something from beneath the counter. An old newspaper, yellowed, crumpled at the edges. He spread it out on the counter. My blood turned to ice. because staring up at me from the front page was his face. The man in the hospital gown. The headline read, "Fatal Crash on Highway 21. Man ejected from vehicle, dies on scene." The date? Exactly 10 years ago. And the location? Right outside our gas station. I left that job 2 weeks later. I still drive past that station sometimes, late at night, and I swear, if you look in the rearview mirror at just the right moment, you'll see a man standing in the shadows, barefoot, waiting. Story 3. I was never scared of hospitals. Most people hate them. The sterile smell, the dim halls, the way death lingers in the air like an unspoken secret. But for me, it was just work. The long shifts, the tired smiles, the quiet beeping of machines. It all became background noise over time. But there was one night, one shift, that changed everything. I was working the graveyard shift at St. Andrew's Hospital, a small place just outside town. We didn't get a lot of traffic at night, mostly elderly patients sleeping through their recovery, a few accident cases here and there. It was routine, quiet, until 4 a.m. I was doing my rounds, making my way down the dimly lit hallway when I passed room 303. I wasn't supposed to stop there. Room 303 was empty, had been for years, but something caught my eye. Through the small window on the door, I saw someone sitting on the bed. A man, long, dark hair, pale skin, wearing a hospital gown. He was hunched forward, elbows resting on his knees, staring at the floor. I stopped. My first thought was that someone had messed up and put a patient in the wrong room. That was the logical explanation. A mistake. It happens sometimes. I pushed the door open slowly. The air inside was freezing. Not just cold, freezing. I could see my breath in front of me, swirling in the dim light. Something was wrong. "Sir," I kept my voice calm, firm. "Are you okay?" No response. I stepped closer, my sneakers barely making a sound against the tile. The man didn't move, didn't acknowledge me, just kept staring at the floor. Something in my gut told me not to get any closer. "Sir," my voice was quieter this time, "do you need help?" Then he stood up, not slowly, not naturally. He just rose, like he was being pulled by invisible strings. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to run. When he turned toward me, my breath caught in my throat. His eyes, there were no eyes, just two black, empty holes stretching too far across his face. His skin was too pale, almost gray, and his mouth was twisted into a horrible grin, too wide, too unnatural. I wanted to scream, wanted to move, but my body wouldn't listen. Then he took a step toward me, and another, and another. His bare feet didn't make a sound against the floor. Something in my brain snapped. My fight or flight kicked in, and I stumbled back, nearly tripping over my own feet as I turned and bolted out of the room. I ran straight into Hannah, another night nurse. "What the hell?" she started, grabbing my shoulders. "Are you okay?" I could barely breathe. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. There's someone in 303. I gasped. Her face went blank, confused. "That's not possible," she said. 303 is empty. I saw him. I grabbed her arm. I turned back toward the door. The room was empty. The bed was perfectly made. The monitors were off. There was no sign that anyone had been there. My voice failed me. Hannah gave me a concerned look and grabbed the patient log from the nurse's station. She flipped through the pages quickly, then turned the book toward me. The last patient assigned to room 303 had been over 2 years ago, and he had died in that room. A long, painful death. I didn't go back inside. I didn't say another word. I just stood there, my body cold, my mind racing. Hannah walked away, shaking her head, probably thinking I was just sleep deprived. But as I turned to leave, something in the window of room 303 caught my eye. A reflection, not mine, not Hannah's, his, standing there, smiling. I put in my transfer request the next day. I never worked the night shift again.